from Detroit, Michigan.
The In My House Techno Music Show, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played. Coming to you straight out of Detroit, the birthplace of techno music. Coming to you each and every week online via our website, as well as our podcast. Follow us on social media and keep up with us with the music alerts. This is T. Carlita for the In My House Techno Music Show. Welcome to the In My House Techno Music Show. I am your host, T. Carlita, and I am super excited to have Nabil Sherif for Slur Records. Long time coming. I've seen him, admired his work. Not admired him, but admired his work. No, got that blush. Hey, Nabil, that's what I was looking for. Give me that smile. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me, Ken.
Awesome. So let's talk about you as an artist, a producer. What made you decide, hey, I want to make music?
I don't think it was ever just like me having like an epiphany one day or saying that I just wanted to make music. I think artists in general, I think we all have this creative bug in us, and whether it's to make music, to paint, to sing, to dance, whatever it is, I think we all just like to create art. And that's kind of where I'm at right now in my journey. But for me, it was more so my love for the music and my love for art and creating and wanting to challenge myself to see, what I could do and how I could contribute and give back as far as, feelings that I had or that I felt early on. So I think that's more so what has driven me as far as an artist or a creative, I like to say, is just to be able to produce, create, and share, and I think that's what drives me every day.
Okay, that's good. So in the beginning phases of your life in music, who were some of the people who kind of like inspired you or encouraged you or even kind of helped you through that beginning phase?
Let's see. Like in the very beginning, I would say, well, there was different phases, I would say, with when it comes to like the DJ that I am. Early on, that started on in college. Some of my good college friends that weren't necessarily, big DJs that were playing out, but that had knowledge and were able to, get behind the decks and throw down basically. And I remember early on, I had some experience with decks through high school, nothing major. But once I got to college, that's when it really took its form. And I just remember a few of my really good friends, one of my buddies, Hanny, and Diallo. I remember I used to bug these guys and just have them, come over to my place downtown. I used to live in the Cass corridor, and they would come over and basically they were just showing me how to beat match and how to mix records, just A and B, and and from then on, I mean, it was. I mean, I was infatuated, and it was like every day. I'd go to class, come back home, mix records, and that evolved to playing college parties and eventually playing out downtown at some of like the local college nights that we would host downtown, and it kind of grew from there. So it was like I got my experience in college. I got to practice, in college and get to the point to where I was, comfortable and confident enough to really say, hey, this is really what I want to do, and ended up making a mix CD early on that was picked up and I would say appreciated by some promoters in Detroit, particularly Tom Patton, who at the time, this was coming back to like 2009, I believe. He was the owner of Club Blue at the time, so he heard it and immediately brought me in, to open up one of their local nights there, and that's kind of how I got my start as an electronic DJ in Detroit.
Hmm. Now let's go into the label.
Mhm.
For those that don't know about your label, who the label is, how did you start that? When did you start that? Just so that we can kind of like educate people on how you got the label started and when you started it.
Okay, so Slur Records has been around since 2012. Catalog wise, we don't have that many releases, but I like to say that the releases that we did put out were, of quality from some great up and coming artists over the years, people that I've worked with, became friends with, have known for some time. But the inception of Slur basically started because when I started off as a producer, I was working early on with a Detroit producer, Yos, and we were doing a lot of work together. And finally, when I finished a couple of my first records that I wanted to release, one of them in particular, I sent over to a guy by the name of Kenneth Thomas. So Kenneth, or we call him KT, loved the record, wanted to put it out on his imprint. He was actually starting a label of his own called Myth Records at the time. But early on, Kenneth has been around for a while, kind of in the progressive trance world. And he was actually working on a compilation album for Perfecto Records, who he had done some A&R work for. And as we all know, Perfecto's been around for years and owned by Paul Oakenfold. So what happened was he had picked up this record. It was called Dope Speaker, and he released it on Myth, and then we also licensed it to Perfecto for his compilation album. The record went out, his compilation album went out, it did well. But it was just, I think at the time, it was the first record that I put out, and it actually opened me up to like the industry and the business side of it. And I don't want to say the bad side of the business, but just what could happen, if you don't have your ducks in a row. And I kind of, nothing against KT or Perfecto. It was just the way things were set up. And I felt, I felt very disconnected from the whole process, from, submitting the track to it being released. And that was that. So for me, I'm the type of person where I like to be involved from point A to point Z. And I didn't feel that with this record. So, granted, for me early on, this is the first record I ever put out. I felt like, I didn't want to put in as much work as I was doing going forward, and then realizing, hey, I'm not happy with the process. So that's why I decided to start Slur. I said I wanted more control. I wanted to dictate how things, happened for me and the music that I put out in the future, if I decided to continue that journey. So I started Slur Records, and it was great. I had a lot of good support from some great artists early on, and things were moving. We were putting out records, and I brought in my buddy Yos at the time. He was a partner for some years before we decided to go separate ways. And then things kind of slowed down for a minute. I want to say around COVID is when things kind of took a turn, and I guess music at the time, for me, playing out didn't slow down, but maybe spending as much time in the studio slowed down, which is kind of funny because you would think that during COVID, artists are locked in, they're in the studio, they're making music. Well, for me, it was like kind of the opposite, just because of my day to day, because I work as a registered nurse during the day. So I was fully engulfed, working in the ICU during the day, which kind of took away from my creativeness and my productive time during that time. So it was kind of like the opposite for me. Just kind of like fast forward to 2025, like there is kind of a revamp going on right now with the label, with myself as an artist, and forth. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So you were on duty during COVID.
Yeah. So yeah,
What?
I was like locked. I mean, I was working downtown, in the trenches at a level one trauma hospital, in the ICU. So I was fully engulfed in COVID, day to day, and pulling in a lot of hours and a lot of overtime just because, we didn't have the manpower. So
Right.
unfortunately that took me out of the studio here. Um, and you know kept me there. So like my downtime when I was at home was just recovering and just trying to just make it through. So that in itself was kind of a shock to like I would say my creativeness, and it was really tough for me to even come in here and even write during that time. So I had to mentally get myself out of that,
Hmm.
and it took some time, but I mean playing music never stopped. It was just more so just trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do as going forth as an artist, because I felt like everything was changing. The whole world was changing.
Hmm.
Music was changing, the industry was changing. So it definitely was. I would
Different.
say I don't want to say different. I would say more so like a reset, and
Okay.
that's kind of for me it was kind of a reset coming to today. So
You are in my house, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
Clean up on aisle 5.
Clean up on aisle 5. Sounds like my life right now. Just one big mess.
What's going on?
It's my property taxes.
What?
I am behind and I am so worried that I'm going to lose my house. I can pay some of it, but I can't pay it all at once.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm Eric Sabri, the Wayne County Treasurer. The last thing I want is for anyone to lose their property to tax foreclosure. We have assistance programs to help. Visit us at treasurer.waynecounty.com and we'll help you keep your home. We're here to help.
In My House Radio, online 24/7. Featuring only the best techno and house music. And be sure to tune in for Sunday Inspiration, every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get connected, www.inmyhouse65.com.
Right. And the other thing too, during that time period, like for myself, I was getting a lot of releases, but you couldn't go nowhere. So
yeah,
they just kind of like sat on the 2020 shelf, But as far as going now we're fast forward, we're past that phase. Where are you? How's your okay? First of all, thank you for being on that front line during that time period. We see each other out, but we didn't know who's who and what they do during the day. So first of all, I totally want to thank you for your service during that time that we never would imagine. And I just want to publicly acknowledge you for your strength, your courage, and your dedication for what you did for people as best as you could during probably one of the worst times in our life history. So I want to thank you first and foremost.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. So now where are we at in the mindset reset now? What's in the brain of you now? How are you feeling? Are you recharged? You energized?
Oh yeah,
You
yeah. I've
there?
I've, I've hit that reset button. So yeah,
Okay.
I like to say that my I guess my saying or my motto to myself like coming into 25 was like I'm reclaiming my time. So basically,
Absolutely.
that's what I've been more focused on is you know time with family, and also time for myself to be creative
Mhm.
and do the things that I love, and that has gotten me this far. So as far as the label is concerned, and I'm taking that same mindset, resetting the whole label, reworking our distribution right now. I actually just signed a track from a duo out of Brooklyn, Sleepy and Blue, who they've played here in Detroit for me, at some of our slur parties. So things are looking good for the label. Just keeping it positive and just looking to totally take us into that next chapter. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I can't say too much right now, but there's
Absolutely.
definitely work right now.
Now, for artists who might be interested in sending stuff, pitching to you, I don't know what words they use now, sending you music for listening or opportunity to be part of your label. What are some of the, like, talk to people and let them know what you're looking for and maybe what to send you and what not to send you. Is there like a format or a formula when it comes to that? Because every label has its own formats, its formulas or whatever. So when somebody's sending you something, what are you looking for? Like demo stuff for possibility.
I'm very right now I'm very informal with that. I mean, I do have, you can go through the website as well and things like that, but I'm very informal where, I like people to reach out to me personally. Um, and there has been quite a few artists who have done that over the past, year or so, and that I've been, that I have on my radar, and I think are going to be great producers, and maybe they're not, behind the decks as far as DJs and things like that, but as far as in the studio working, like, I hear so much potential, and there's people that are making really good music right now, but a lot of people don't know who they are, and I've always been the person who, I love to work with anyone, and I'm like, in our scene, I will say there are a lot of gatekeepers, like, big time. And, and if it's someone that I feel like I can help, or I can offer, any type of advice personally to them just to help them get to the next step, I'm there to do so. Just shoot me a message, just send me what you got. You want me to listen over? Cool. I love getting, questions asked and things like that. And even if you're at that point to where I feel like, you're someone who, we can bounce ideas back and forth. I do that with people all the time. You don't have to know me personally. It's all about the music and just being creative and making art. So that's kind of how that's just where I'm at. So, yeah, I mean, just reach out to me personally, through all the socials.
You are in my house, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.
Fellas, I'm new in town, and I've been here a couple times. I absolutely love your place, man. But I've got to ask you, if you can, I've heard that you're going to be shutting this place down.
I'm not proud of it, brother, but we're behind our property taxes, and the county is all over us, man. I'm even afraid to even give them a call.
Well, we can't let it go, brother. I mean, we can't give up. There's got to be a GoFundMe campaign that we can run, even past the plate. Is there a forgiveness program or something that's out there?
Well, unfortunately, that's only for the big guys.
No, actually, Wayne County has payment plans for everyone.
Are you for real?
Yes, it's a well-designed program. We want to help you save your business.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri. If you have delinquent taxes on your home or business, contact our office, 313-224-5990, or visit our website, treasurer.waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Got it.
In My House Radio, online 24/7. Featuring only the best techno and house music. And be sure to tune in for Sunday Inspiration, every Sunday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get connected, www.inmyhouse65.com.
So before I let you go, is there anything that you would like just the general public to know and understand about you, the label, and your expectations?
I don't know, like we're DJs, and we get behind the decks, but sometimes like we can be very private, you know. So, but as far as like, I mean, who I am, you know, I just love music, you know. I love what I do, and I try to express that. And when I play out every time, you know, usually when I play, you know, I'm not playing to cater to the crowd or you know to you know a certain artist that I may be opening up for, things like that. Like I'm gonna play for like the love of music that I have. So you know, and I hope that you know if you're out there and you're on the dance floor or you know or you've listened to one of my sets that I put out on SoundCloud or wherever, you know, if you enjoy it, just you know send me a message or you know reshare it, you know, just spread it, you know, that's what it's about. So I mean that's what I'm about as well. So
That's good. Now, if you could share some words of encouragement or some nuggets of advice to the up and coming DJ producer, somebody contemplating record label, whatever, what would you share with someone right now? Outside of what you said already, but
one thing I will say is, you know, if you're getting started out or, you know, if you really want to make it, you know, think long term, you know, don't try to finish the race, you know, because it's not a race. Um, you know, just take your time, you know, do what you love. A lot of times, you know, I see a lot of, you know, new DJs or producers, they're so ready to, you know, do this and that or, you know, like put something out that's not ready or you know, I mean, I have countless stories or you know things like that. Is my thing is you know just take your time. You know, it's music. It's not you know I don't know what to compare it to, but you know it's music and it's supposed to be here for us to enjoy for the long term. You know, so and that's kind of the way I look at you know myself and my career and how long you know I've been doing this and playing out is you know I don't feel like I'm going anywhere. You know, I feel like I'm just gonna, you know, keep doing what I do, and hopefully that you know that translates to the dance floor, and people can appreciate it, and you know that's what it's about. So you know, put egos and everything else aside, and just you know just do your thing.
wait, say that again. Put them what aside? Let me
Yeah, put
say that for
egos
the folks in the back.
yeah, put those egos away. We don't like those.
Right on. Well, you know what? I really appreciate you. And you know, you are one of the kindest people who I've encountered. I mean, you're just so pleasant and so kind. You are like so nice. It's like you are so nice. And I don't even really know you, but when I see you, you're approachable. You're nice. You're not like, you know, I don't know you. And I really appreciate that too. And that it shows through your music. I mean, who you are as a person is going to come out in your production anyway. So
Mhm.
you can tell that
Well,
you're
I appreciate it. Every time you see me, you will always come up and like I'm a lot of times I will say I'm a little bit more reserved. I'm an introvert at heart, so you know, so like even going out, you know, I may seem quiet or you know, I'm there taking it all in, but you know, like I said, I'm usually an introvert, so like I appreciate, you know, every time I get to see you as well.
Yeah, you all right with me. So I appreciate you. How can people, I know the website's available. Do you have all the SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Bandcamps? Do you have all that too? Or is all your stuff through mostly your website?
Nope, I have everything, but usually, you know, if you need links to everything that I do, website will have all the updated links if anything ever changes. And that's the one thing I will say for artists, DJs, producers, whatever, you know, stop relying on social media, stop relying on Instagram, Meta, um, what's the other one? TikTok, you know, like, you know,
All of them.
you got to create your own brand and have your own landing point because you know when those sites or those companies are not there anymore, you know where are you going to be left in that?
You are in my house, hosted by T. Carlita, where the true stories are told and great music is played.